Alrighty, my friends, it is our last day of coaching. I cannot believe it. I can't believe how much we have gotten accomplished, how much I have gotten accomplished in the past 6 weeks. It's almost like I'm in a completely different business. I'm in a completely different headspace, and I am super excited because I am going to take all of this coaching that I put together, okay, and I'm turning it into a book. Right, and so look for that. It's got to get, transcripted and edited and compiled and all that shit. But that's what we're doing, and there will be more to come. So stay tuned for that. And I say that because one of the things, and this is very important for today's topic, which is relationships. Okay. And even our Science Saturday, this is very important for Science Saturday. It is super important for y'all to understand that relationships are created in our mind. I only have a relationship with my wonderful husband because I created it in my head. Okay, Andrew is neutral, and my relationship with him in my head is like all of my thoughts about Andrew. And when we look at setting the stage for iterative change, okay, it goes back to week one, just telling ourselves the truth, okay? The truth is you have relationships in your life with other people, okay? I am in relationship with a ton of people, and all of those relationships are in my head, but all of those people are neutral. All of them are completely neutral, okay? And if you want your relationships to change, you change them by changing your own thinking. So keep that in mind. And now I want to talk about expertise. We are in, I don't know, we've been in like coronavirus panic, or it's not really a panic, but this coronavirus situation for more than 6 weeks, I think we might be going into week 10, more than that, for some places. And we are having a crisis, not of coronavirus, a crisis of self-doubt, and a crisis of expertise. And it's not the experts that are having a crisis of expertise. Okay, there was something that went around today on the internet about this neurosurgeon who's saying that we're doing it all wrong and that masks are really bad for you. Okay? I will tell you, a human neurosurgeon doesn't know a whole lot about infectious disease. They probably did a rotation and they took one class. All right? Just because somebody has doctor in front of their name doesn't mean that you can axiomatically trust them, and I get that, okay? But there are experts out there. There are people out of goodwill who have designed their life around studying a certain topic, okay? My life, turns out, is focused on how people reduce hazards in food safety plans, or in food safety plans, okay, through the actions of food safety, all right? I could have studied this in a number of different ways, but I really, really, really like helping people figure out how to look at the concept of hazards and make their food less hazardous, and build wealth in community and compliance systems out of that. Okay? There are other people who are, I was talking with an anesthesiologist this morning, okay? And she builds wealth in community and through a set of systems around anesthesiology, all right? And really understanding what it means to be hypoxic and to have too much carbon dioxide. And of course, I'm bringing that up because, when you have a mask and you're having trouble breathing through your mask, your body is intolerant to a buildup of carbon dioxide. That's literally why you breathe when you come out of your mama, is to get rid of carbon dioxide. It is not to bring in oxygen. It is to expel carbon dioxide. It's that toxic to you. Okay? And what I have been seeing, and what a lot of people have been seeing, is this crisis in confidence and expertise. And there are probably a lot of reasons for it. But one of the reasons I think for it is it's a reflection of our own insecurity. We can only see and question in somebody else what we see and question in our own selves. Okay, and so if you're in a space where you're questioning somebody who has worked in infectious disease for their entire adult lives, who is published, okay, and who is telling you to do something uncomfortable, and you're questioning that, and you're questioning their motives, you are in relationship with that person. And your relationship with that person is entirely defined by your own thoughts. And you can't question their expertise without also calling into question your own expertise. And I know this because true experts accept the expertise of other people. I work with a forensic sanitarian. He's an amazing guy. When we have a really thorny listeria problem, I bring in the other Dr. P. I bring in Dr. Bob Powitz. Okay. And we get, dude's a forensic sanitarian. I'm really good at sanitation, and I'm really good at reducing hazards and making hazards not reasonably likely to occur through sanitation, and writing sanitary control plans and sanitary preventive controls and all of the systems to make sure the listeria never shows up. But when the listeria actually does, I call Dr. Bob. He's like a founding member of the Academy of Sanitarians or something like that. Dude has a PhD in sanitation. I have a doctorate in veterinary medicine. I have a whole different skill set. And I'm super comfortable in that skill set. And so I know when I call Dr. Bob, it's because I really super need him. And so my question for you around all of the things that are happening in science right now, and the questioning of expertise, and the YouTube things, and the people, and the conspiracy theories, guys, take a deep breath and start looking inside, okay, about how you are questioning and who you are questioning. And then look at those people's peer-reviewed studies. And I want to explain for Science Saturday what the peer review process is. Because it's not a government conspiracy. The government actually has nothing to do with the peer review process. So in order to advance in academia, all right, so in your university, in your department or whatever, in order to get grant funded from the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, or other grant funding mechanisms to do science research, you have to have started in research and gone through the peer review process. So let me explain to you what that looked like from my perspective. 9,000 years ago, it feels like, I was trying to decide if I was going to be a bench jockey, okay? And after my DVM and serving in the Army, or even while I was in the Army, if I was going to go get a PhD, because I had a couple of departments saying, Michelle, you need to stay for a PhD. I want you to be my PhD student. Okay? And I decided I was going to try on being a PhD student before I committed. Because when I graduated, I was going active duty. And so I knew I wasn't committing to a PhD program immediately. I was going to have to serve at least 2 years as a branch chief somewhere. Okay, and then maybe in my third year of active duty, I would be able to go and start a PhD program or, whatever that looked like. But I had a little bit of room. I didn't have to make the decision my senior year the way a lot of veterinarians who are pursuing that path have to. And so my very first rotation in veterinary school, when we got out of our didactic learning, so we were in classroom learning, for a calendar year, not a calendar year, a scholastic year for our first year, a scholastic year for our second year, okay, and then for half of, so like for fall semester. So it was a little more complicated, but that's kind of really what it was. So we were in all freshman year, all sophomore year, and then half of junior year, we were in didactic learning in a classroom setting. And then we, quote, went down to clinics. Well, all of my classes, all of my classmates went down to clinics or went out to the barn or whatever it is that they did, I went into a laboratory, okay? And I worked in a lab that studied inflammatory pathways for laminitis. Laminitis is the disease that horses get in their feet, where the structures that keep the hoof, like that outer hoof, attached to their actual bones of their feet, where we studied those inflammatory pathways, okay? And I designed a study around what, I forget what proteins we were looking at being expressed, but we were studying monocytes, which are a type of white blood cell, and what they were doing, and what proteins they were expressing and genes they were expressing. And it was really great research on inflammatory pathways of laminitis, and the whole point was to get published and to present it at some, I don't know, probably the Association of Equine Practitioners, if I had to guess. And I had to do all this fun stuff, like I would go out and I would do blood draws on the research horses, and I field work is a lot of fun, guys. And then I would bring it back, and I would grow up the monocytes, and I had to just do all of this different stuff. And I did a lot of, I ran a lot of gels, and I did a lot of writing, okay? And I found out a lot of stuff, not the least of which is my hands shake badly enough, I can't run a gel. Like, I can't load from a pipette into a gel, which really pretty much killed my research career. I literally couldn't do the lab work because my hands shake. We have this like congenital thing in our family, which was really great to know. All right, I wrote up all of my stuff. I turned it over, and I went on my merry way after 90 days of doing bench research and deciding I was not going to be a bench jockey. And that was like some of the most valuable days I spent in vet school, was deciding not to get a PhD. And my research went toddling along, okay, and it eventually got put in a paper. And I wasn't mentioned in the paper because all I had done was some of the background research, and I wasn't mentioned in the paper. All right. Contrast that with a paper I did, or a project I did at MIT the summer between my first and second year in Jim Fox's lab, where I went out and I collected goose poop for an entire summer in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It was a hoot. And then I came back, and I had I had more people to help me load gels, so I was a little more successful in that. And I got named on that paper. All right, but I didn't find out I got named on that paper where I isolated Helicobacter canadensis, all right, from geese in the greater Boston area, because that's what Jim Fox's lab does. Okay, I found out that I was named on that paper after I graduated from vet school. Okay, and so that paper I got an email from them, a couple of years after I graduated, saying, hey, here's our paper, here's the reference on PubMed, and you can go find the reference on PubMed, because that's how long it took to get the paper published in the Journal of Lab Animal Sciences, I think, where we published. And that whole time, we wrote the paper, like the paper got written, they took my data and wrote the paper, and then they submitted it to the journal. And then the journal farmed it out to probably 5 or 6 different readers. So who are those readers? They are other people who have expertise in helicobacters, okay, or who have expertise in other sorts of digestive infectious diseases, because Helicobacter is digestive infectious disease, okay? And they read the paper, and they commented on the methodology and the writing and all of the things, all right, and it passes peer review or not. It's either this makes a lot of sense or it doesn't, and you get rejected from peer review. Most things get rejected from peer review, and they don't make it into the journals. I think it's like 1 to 20 or something like that. But you know what that means? That means that those peer reviewers are reading all of those things, and they're rejecting most of them. It's entirely volunteer. All of those journals, those are like for-profit companies that rely on an entirely volunteer basis for people to decide what actually goes in the publication. And it's an honor to be asked to peer review, and you learn a ton from it, which is why people actually do it. The government doesn't pay you. The journal doesn't pay you. I mean, there might be a small stipend, but it certainly doesn't make up for the time. Okay, there is prestige associated with being a peer reviewer, and there is prestige associated with publishing a peer-reviewed article. Okay, YouTube is not a peer review channel. And so that's the peer review process. It literally takes years. And then you got to get scheduled for publication, and then the publication actually comes out, and then you send a copy to your mother. All right? Like, that's the process, guys. It's not some big-ass government conspiracy. The end. Okay, and so if you're out there questioning the experts, and I've seen questions for Dr. Fauci, I've seen questions for, you know, all of the heads of the CDC and all of the different states telling us to stay home, all of these different things. If you are questioning that to make your life easier, okay, I want you to think about where that fear is coming from and why you're afraid of that person, because you are in relationship with that person. And I want you to really look inside at the fear, okay? Because when we set the process for iterative change in our relationships and making all of our relationships better, it looks like asking ourselves, what's my intention here? Okay? And so if you are having an argument with your spouse or having an argument with your kids or whatever, you know, whatever lousy relationship you're in right now, I want you to ask yourself, what is my intention here? It can be really hard in relationships to figure out what your intention is with that person. Because sometimes our intentions are ugly. And they're ugly with the people we love the most, with the people for whom we have the most loving feelings. I mean, there are times when I argue with Andrew where I want to be right above all else. My friend, all you have to do is tell yourself the truth about that. And I am not kidding. The truth will set you free. Okay? Because if you tell yourself the truth about what you want in your relationships, you'll be able to figure out how you act and what your feelings are and what evidence you build and what result you'll actually get. That's that water model that I do. When you do that and you tell yourself the truth of your relationships and what you're thinking about your relationships and how that results in your life, like what results that creates in your life, that's really how to be in a relationship with people. And it all starts with yourself. Okay? If I could tell you how to change other people to make your life better, I would do it. But then I would be telling everybody, and then everybody would be trying to change you, right? And who wants that? That's not how we want to live. That's not how I want to live. Iterative change in relationships starts by turning inside and looking at your intentions, sitting with your negative emotions, and recognizing them. And sometimes you need help with that. You know, I was like flipping out over something last night, and Andrew was like, Michelle, 1, have you taken your meds? And 2, when you are in massive anxiety, you ask me to do things for the business on a Friday night. I'm not doing anything for the business on a Friday night. Nothing's going to change. And that's for you to deal with in your own anxiety. And what a gift that was. Like, what an incredible gift Andrew gave me by being at a point in his head where he could be in his own intention, not just do something because I said so, be in his own intention around how our relationship is going to be. And that was a beautiful moment in our relationship. Because I was like, oh snap, you're right. My intention here is like, you know, when I'm like doing my brain's going off and that sort of thing, is like, oops, I am living in the intention that if I just order the outside world enough, I will feel better. Which is not an intention I want to live in. I want to live in leadership through love. And you know what a real leader does on a Friday night in her business? Nothing. Nothing. Leadership through love looks like putting my phone down, snuggling my kids, and dealing with my own anxiety. That's what leadership through love looked like last night. And I had the gift of Andrew being able to point some of that out to me. And the process of iterative change, though, it doesn't always come in the form of an Andrew telling you, hey, time out there, baby. A lot of times it comes from your own self. When you're in urgency or you're in yelling or you're like, you see yourself acting in a way that you don't want to act, and recognizing the truth of your negative feelings and just feeling them. And asking yourself, like, what the heck is going on? And allowing yourself to pause. Pause in your negative feelings. Develop that muscle in your own self. Absolutely develop that muscle in your own self. And see what that looks like. Okay? And that's the after action process. Where were you living in your intention? In your relationships? Where were you out of intention in your relationships? What are you going to do differently tomorrow? It's really that easy, you know? And it just means like putting your pen in your hand and really thinking about it. And the gift you can give yourself is to give yourself the pause to be able to think about it. And in that pause, you know what you will develop? You will develop an outstanding relationship with yourself. You will build trust and credibility, and you will learn how to have your own back. And that's what developing the capability is all about. It is truly, at the end of the day, at the end of all of this talking, it is the ability for you to have your own back so that you know when you're out there making decisions, they are the right decisions, because no matter what happens, you can deal with it. That's what we've got for coaching. I love you all. You know where to find me. Hit me up on DMs if you want to take this work further. Book a blueprint call. I love you all so very much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.